Hey, welcome back to God's Glory and Men's Real Stories. I'm your host, Robert Moore III, and I'm excited that you would join us today for another great episode. If you're new to this community, I want you to know that you matter here and your story matters, no matter what chapter you're in. So today, I want you to sit back and hang out with this community that cares about you and hopes that you feel God's love as well as see God's glory in Men's Real Stories. So my special guest today is a brother I met while serving. And as we stood there building a pallet of boxes with meals for families in the Charlotte area, he shared with me his passion to serve and where it came from. And at that moment, God let me know this guy was going to be a guest on my podcast to share his story with others. So I'm excited to sit down and welcome Tommy Burke to the episode.
Hello. How's it going, everybody?
I'm so glad you can sit down with me today, man.
Yes, me too, man. I've been looking forward to just sitting back and just talking to you some more. It was a really powerful day getting there and building pallets with you, man. It's just what a good feeling that day.
Yeah. You know, it's funny how Love Week has that feeling of not only like, wow, I'm getting to serve others, but this feels really good to do this. Like no matter what's going on, it's like, wow, I'm doing something that's bigger than me that's going to impact somebody else.
Exactly.
And that's just a wild feeling to know that you're impacting somebody else's life. So I'm glad I met you because I always meet people and I never know like what that meeting could turn into. It could turn into a friendship. It could turn into a great further conversation. And like I said, when I met you, I'm like, oh yeah, God didn't put me next to this guy just so we could like share stories with each other. Like, this was meant to be. There's a reason for this. So I'm going to let you start off by just introducing yourself. Just, let my audience know who you are.
Tommy Burke. I've lived here in the Charlotte market for about 16 years. Air Force veteran. I served from 2000 to 2005. In the Air Force, I was a chef, hotel worker. I worked in mortuary affairs, never did real world, just exercises, stuff like that. Just done various different jobs throughout, life, this and that. And always in the back of my mind, it's always been about serving, helping the community. Even when I was in the Air Force, I was in Big Brother, Big Sister for 2 years at my first duty station. Deployed out to the Bahamas for Hurricane Dorian in September 2019 with Team Rubicon. That was a hurricane that set in the Bahamas over 48 hours and just totally wrecked it. Was down there like 2 weeks just passing out food. Working with the U.S. Food Aid and just helping rebuild communities, man. So it's always been a central part of my core, I guess I would say, as far as like helping and serving. And Love Week, that's all I love is just getting down and helping. So,
right.
I'm a volunteer with Wounded Warrior Project. I was actually hosting a baseball game up in Kannapolis for them. I reach out to local organizations and companies and stuff like that and find situations where warriors can get together for camaraderie. I had 4 warriors get honored at the baseball game yesterday, and for me that just feels a special part of my heart. So
no, that's very cool. It sounds like you were put here to clearly serve, First of all, thank you for your service, because in a lot of people look at it as like, well, I went to the Air Force or I went to the Army or I was in service to serve and I expected it to look a certain way. I had an expectation, but it's crazy how a lot of times one way or another, you still served others in a way to where it met your capacity and it met your passion.
It really, and it's kind of cliche to use this phrase, but it honestly truly fills my cup. When I'm serving, I'm naturally not a look at me or think about me kind of person. When I'm serving others and helping others, I want to be in the background doing as much as I can to push you in the foreground.
That's good. I like that. That's really cool. And it's funny because there are different views of serving. Some people want to serve so they can be seen.
Yes.
But there's also a thing about, the anonymous servers, the one who wants to serve but doesn't need the recognition, whether it be because I don't need the recognition or it wasn't about me.
Now, don't get me wrong. Last year, or I can say earlier in the year during the ACC men's basketball championship game between Duke and Virginia, I did get a chance to get recognized at half court.
Okay, yeah.
So there are times, well, I will say, I'll take the
I'll take the right. I'll take the spotlight this time. No, that's cool. That's cool. What'd you get recognized for?
Just for being a warrior leader within Wounded Warrior Project, and they was just the ACC reached out to Wounded Warrior Project and said, "Hey, bring a couple warriors out. We want to bring them out on the half court during the game." We got to come in through like the players' entrance, like through the tunnel kind of thing.
Right, that's cool.
So that was pretty cool. So I got recognized during the ACC Men's Basketball Championship. And then during the ACC Men's Baseball Championship, I hosted the event for Wounded Warrior Project, and I got others honored during that one. So that was pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Seeing the whole dichotomy of everything from both sides of it. So
right.
It was cool.
No, that's very cool. So what is it? I'm just curious, like from what it sounds like, serving has been a part of your life for a long time. But what was it that kind of like just made that almost like a passion or a part of your drive in whatever it was you did? Because there had to have been a point where you were like, okay, there's a lot of different options I could take, but I now want to go and serve my country. And that serving doesn't seem to have stopped.
So I think it just comes from a really rough upbringing. Grew up in literally like one of the worst areas of Indianapolis, Indiana. In a probably 98% black and brown community, and just seeing the lack of services that my own community had. Mm-hmm. Growing up in a community where me as a minority in my entire upbringing, seeing the lack of help in the community made me want to give more back, because there's so much more that everybody has to offer. When somebody says, "Oh, I have nothing to offer," you don't want to offer. So for me, giving back as much as I can all the time has just always been there, just because what I knew growing up. So I got to see some really rough things. By the age of 8, 9, I knew what drive-by shootings were. Drug deals on a street corner. Before it was like poster sized by Mike Vick, I knew what dog fighting was. I mean,
right.
I've seen it all.
Right.
So, and seeing how that community was so affected by the drugs in the late 80s and 90s, and seeing where maybe having a mentor or having somebody give you a hand out to give you a hand up kind of thing. So I think that's really where it comes from for me, because nobody else in my family does this stuff. So, maybe I was the only one that the light switch flipped. I don't know.
Okay. Well, hey, look, I'm glad the light switch or the light switch flipped. Yes. Because the truth is that sometimes it takes a fire starter or a flame or an ember to actually start a fire, yes. Whether it be in your family, in your community, or those who are impacted by you. I mean, I'm sure there have been people that have been impacted or have been inspired by your heart to serve, to say, wow. I mean, even when you just explained that, it was like, wow, yeah, like that's real. That creates a perspective to where when you understand it that way, you do see it like, I mean, even when when there was nothing to be given to me, that didn't stop me from wanting to turn around and give to others.
Exactly.
Because I realized that I had enough to now share with others.
So when I volunteered with Team Rubicon to go to the Bahamas, I was living in Florida. I went there. We were there during September 11th, so that was pretty poignant. So I was there early September sometime. And it was right at 60 days after my suicide attempt. So giving back for me in that moment was not only healing their community, but it was healing me. So maybe some of the volunteering, some of the different things I do is my way of refilling my cup.
I can get that. I can get that. Okay. Wow. Okay. So wait a minute. Now I got a question that just came up from that. Do you feel like in what you do for others, the healing it provides you, do you feel like it's almost like a temporary healing, or do you feel like those things are like, now I'm addicted to that, and I want to continue to do this to continue to keep things at bay. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, to bounce off of that. So I know this is kind of like anti-guy type stuff. So my love language.
Okay, no, I love it. I'm here for that.
So my love language, like I'm a natural nurturer. So like I give love through acts of service. But I would say I receive love through words of affirmation. So saying that, like for me, I guess I didn't feel enough love growing up. So for me, showing that love to somebody else, for me, means the world.
Wow.
Like, if I can do anything for you, that heals me. Because thinking back on childhood trauma, how it leads to mental health as we grow into adults, I think I was so traumatized as a child because not really having that parent household that really cared. Like we would be out till 2 or 3 in the morning at 7. Like what parent isn't asking where your kid is at 7 at 2 or 3 in the morning? We're just running around the neighborhood. So it's like not having that love and that guidance, I think, leads me to want to do more acts of service for others because I never got that.
Okay, I can definitely understand that. Okay, so then, and it's funny how I realized that when it comes to our love languages, we offer sometimes what we need or what we needed. And I don't like to say needed because I don't believe just because we needed it doesn't mean we don't still need it.
Exactly.
So how have you fashioned your life to be able to not only serve others and give them what you always wanted, but also receive and have your cup filled, not just by what you give to others, but what you need yourself?
And that's the part I still struggle with.
Ooh.
I'm the kind of person, we're best friends. You want to take a trip somewhere, I'll plan it all. I'll get it all lined up. I might even pay for most of it, but I won't let you do for me. Because I'm so used to being let down. I'm so used to not having that support system. Even at 41, I still don't trust to a certain degree. Even that's why I say, like, I don't want you to always call me every day and say, hey, Tommy, man, you're doing a great job. But when I do something great, I definitely need that acknowledgement. For me, that fills my cup.
Okay. Now I see why God put us together.
Yeah.
The conversations we didn't have that are coming up now where it's like, yeah, I can feel that 100%.
I'll give you an example. So I have literally been trying to be a warrior leader for Wounded Warrior Project for 4 or 5 years. I hosted my first event earlier this year at a Charlotte Checkers hockey game. I had 20 people there or something like that. It's the best day for me. So I had a friend and my friend's wife show up. My girlfriend was there with me. And all I wanted to do afterwards was celebrate my big day. But the ladies wanted to go dancing. So I gave up my joy for somebody else's.
Wow.
And afterwards, I realized that affected me.
I was about to ask that.
So, and then when I brought that up,
Sorry.
no, you're fine. So when I brought that up afterwards, the other people hadn't even realized how that affected me. But I knew internally that I wasn't okay with that. But in the moment, I didn't say nothing about it.
You just let it go.
I just let it go because, once again, I'm used to that. I'm used to somebody not taking care of me. I'm used to somebody putting me second.
Okay. Sheesh. Okay. And in turn, I can't speak for you.
Okay.
But I'm going to speak for me for a second and
Sure.
see if this resonates with you. But in turn, what happens is over time, there's this resentment that you didn't know was planted in that soil that starts to kind of like blossom, and it kind of bubbles up like a stream under dirt. And you tell yourself in the moment, oh, it's okay. And then over time, there are little things that happen, and it compiles with that. It was already like a little snowball that's rolling, and it picks those things up. And eventually it kind of like explodes a little bit. And not to say that we go out of, we lose our minds, but we just kind of like say, okay, I need to let a little bit of steam off. And I feel like I've already prepared myself to be let down, but that doesn't mean that I can't voice it now, because it's gotten to be a little bit too much, and it's causing me now to be affected in the things I love doing. I'm going out to do something I love, but I'm really trying to distract myself from what happened maybe months ago.
That is correct. I kind of sort of keep a checklist of that kind of stuff mentally. I don't have it written down, but I know every time you've let me down.
Oh man. This is crazy.
And so
it's crazy how many times I sit at a table, and it's like the Spider-Man effect, where it's like, Spider-Man, and he's like pointing back at me, and it's like, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I got you.
Wow. Man, okay, we could literally spend a whole episode just unpacking that one thing, because I realize how much that really weighs on humans. I'm not even gonna say men, but how much sometimes we just kind of like say, no, it's okay. Like, even when you talked about the whole thing, I'll plan a trip, I'll pay for it, because I want to see others happy, but in the midst of it, there's almost like, I won't say selfish, but there's like this thing where it's like, I just want to receive something that I haven't ever had. Yep. And sometimes it's in the effect of taking care of others the way I wanted to be taken care of.
That's what it is.
My goodness. Wow. Okay. What are we gonna do about that? What do we do? Okay, well, I'll tell you. I know what I'm doing about it, but yes. I noticed that you said you're still struggling with that, and I realized I hit a wall where I understood that the fact that I was abandoning so much of me to serve others at the expense of me, that my cup would be completely empty.
Yes.
And I didn't realize it. Nothing. I'm sitting there just trying to pour, and I've run out.
Yep.
And I'm exhausted, and it wasn't working.
Right.
It just wasn't working. And I had to get to a place where, and it sounded very selfish when I kept hearing it, but it was, I had to take care of me. I had to feel me. I had to lean into how I'm feeling. Yes. How I'm feeling matters.
Yep.
It shouldn't be the driver of this train, but it does matter. It needs to be somewhere on this train. One of these cars needs to have my feelings, and they need to be addressed so that they don't fuel me, eventually make their way to the front of the train. But I had to sit back and sometimes say, I need to address how I feel. I need to take care of my needs. I want to go here, and I put this trip off for me to make sure everybody else is good, or I put myself off, but now it's time for me to say, I got to do this for me. And I need somebody around me to say, no, we've got to do this for you.
Exactly.
It needs to be about you, and your needs matter just as much as mine have, even when you keep trying to fulfill my needs.
Exactly.
But forget my needs right now.
Yeah.
I want your needs to matter, and I want them to be a regular matter.
Yep.
And that's why it's important to have people around you that stop you and say, you know what? I'm not really keeping tally, but I'm recognizing that you just keep like forfeiting to let me win, to make sure I'm happy, to make sure I'm good. And I'm not keeping tally, but we're way off. We're way uneven right now. And it doesn't ever have to be 50-50. But there needs to be a moment where you recognize that what you've always sought after, what you needed, I'm going to give you what you needed. I'm going to provide that for you right now. I'm going to love you the way you've been seeking that love all your life. You've been wanting somebody to love you that way. And yeah, it's hard to describe, but when that happens, it's almost like it heals a part of that inner child that's sitting in there like, wait, so I matter? Yes, you do. You do. And not just now, but you always matter. Exactly. But sometimes it takes you showing others that you're important, because if you don't show others, then it's hard for them to see the importance of you mattering if you don't know how to show others that you matter.
Yeah.
And that you're what you want to do and what you need or what you need to do for yourself matters. It's almost like saying, show me how you want me to love you.
Exactly.
Go.
So the cool thing about the veteran sphere right now is there's lots of great programs that will take you out on like a 3 to 5 day, they call it retreats, but there's some mental health, there's some counseling, there's some healing in some of that, and some of it's just great fun activities. So I get the cup refilled a lot through that. I haven't done too much in the last, I say 15 to 18 months. But like 2019, 2020, 2021, I was going on like 6 or 7 trips a year. So those trips there really help not only my growth, my healing, but it also shows you that you matter because somebody else is taking time out of their week, taking time out of their budget to bring you in and go through a program. So that's the best thing going on with the veterans right now is lots of big money donations going into. So for me, that's how I heal and I get that feeling back.
Right. So, well, I'm glad. You know what? I'm glad we opening up with this because, man, this is whew. It is nothing like having that feeling where you're like, so wait a minute. I'm not the only one that's been feeling that way. I'm not the only one that was brought up that way. I'm not the only one that carried that thing of like serve. And in serving, I get somewhat of my feelings, my hurt kind of like it does. A little bit of my hurt dissolves every time I take care. But I realize that, oh, wait, I was doing that in hopes that people would learn that this is what I need. But it never quite worked that way, you know. Right. You know how they say our love languages are knowing our love languages about what we need, but a lot of time we give others what we need without asking them what they need and expressing what ours are.
Exactly. Yeah, I truly believe in that statement, 100%.
Yeah. Whew, man. Okay. All right. Woo. Wow. Man, I think we could just stop on now.
That was a lot to unpack. That
was a lot right there, but that was so good. Okay, so what brought you? You know, what brought you to the community, the serving community that allowed us to meet each other? Because, you know, what brought you into that community?
So there's a little bit more I didn't tell you.
Oh, more. The plot thickens.
So we met on a Saturday.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Thursday night before that, there was elevation worship, right?
Yeah.
We went to the show down in Greenville. And I'd always wanted to go to one of those and just had always put it off. But some tickets came up on this veteran ticket website. So I was like, let me get a couple. We'll go down to Greenville. Went down there, had a great time. Faith was totally in the room, totally filled up. We come back home. So I've always stayed away from social media. I have it. I don't use it that often. I mean, I'll post here and there. But I was always scared of my past coming back to haunt me. And it did it that Friday before I met you. So in 2005, unbeknownst to me, after me and this lady parted ways, she was pregnant. And she had a child in July of 2006. Immediately passed away. 17 years later, I get this message the day before I met you. like, hey, just want to let you know all this happened. So I wasn't going to do Love Week because I was in a really bad spot. But I was like, let me do that to take my mind off this. And he just always has a funny way of making you process stuff, you know? So it's like sitting there talking to you, telling you kind of the backstory. So my backstory, in early 2022, I was at a boot camp for veterans to learn how to be a personal trainer. And while I was there, I got a message offering me a chance to run in the Boston Marathon. I'm a really super slow runner, not fast, and I'm super elated to do it. But you got to run on a charity bib. I had to raise $8,000 in 90 days. I raised like $500.
Okay.
So
Wasn't too far off.
Wasn't too far off, right? So at this time, just working Uber, but I didn't work most of March because I was training up in Boston. I didn't work much of April because I was recovering from Boston. Early May, charity hits me up. Was like, all right, you owe $7,500, along with all my other bills. So I'm just freaking out. You know, I've got rent, a couple cars, still got to take care of my son. Me and my ex-wife, co-parent, great woman, no issues with her whatsoever. Helping pay this, helping pay that. I'm like, what can I do? How much more do I have? And then enough until it, Pastor Furtick's enough until it comes or something like that.
Yeah.
And sitting there in Uptown, out there at Berry Hill, sitting there listening to that. And he's talking about, you know, the prophet Elijah and the jug and the jar story where, you know, this poor widow was just trying to feed her son. Now she's got to take care of another mouth. She's got extra bills, you know, coming along with that. And consistently her jug and her jar was completely full. No matter how much she used, it was always refilled. And I heard that story and I went home that night and it just sat with me all day. It's one of those sermons where no matter how hard you try not to think about it, you're like, I can't shake this one. So about like 9 o'clock at night, I get ready to go to bed and I literally sat in bed and I was like, all right, this is what you want, Lord. You can have it all. Show me your footsteps. Walk beside me. Where do you want me to go? You lead, I'll follow. This is all in your hands. And my girlfriend looked at me. She thought I was having a mental breakdown. She was like, do we need to call an ambulance? Do we need to get checked in? Like, what's going on here? And I was like, I'm literally just giving it all to him. So most of the time with Uber, they'll run bonuses. They'll add like little extra here, little extra there. And up until that time, I mean, I've been doing Uber 7-8 years. Up until that time, the most I ever made in a week was like $1,400-$1,500. And that's working 60-70 hours a week. I go to work Monday. Oh, there's this couple new bonuses going on. What's these bonuses about? I'm averaging $50-$60 an hour. Never made that kind of money before. That first week after that sermon, I think I grossed like, I think I came in at like 2,000.
Whoa.
And I was like, all right, I see what you're doing here, Lord. And May went really good. June went really good. July went really good. August comes around. I'd been fighting the VA, for lack of better terms, for about 10 years to get sleep apnea added to my service connection. I checked my bank account one morning expecting it to say $200. It said $28,000. And I was like, see, Lord, thank you. Like my jug and my jar was, and throughout the rest of all last year, it was just consistently paying off bills. Like planning. I just took my son to Europe for 2 weeks in June and July. It was like a $11,000 to $12,000 trip, already paid off.
Wow.
So, and it's like, you know, when that sermon came on, I wasn't looking at doing any other work. I wasn't looking at any other jobs.
Right.
June, was looking on Facebook. This guy's talking about working for Wells Fargo. Sent a message. I've applied there so many times. That place never hired me. Last week of July, I'm starting with Wells Fargo.
Look at him.
And it's like the schedule lined up so good where I was literally working Uber for 4 hours in the morning, going into Wells Fargo, and I was doing that. And I could work long days. Being ex-military, it ain't nothing to us. And just money just rolling in. And I look up at him every day and I'm just like, thank you.
You know what? You know how wild that is, because I can sit here and listen to your story and realize how to some people they would say, okay, well, Dane, I need money too, God. But like how God, when you surrender certain aspects, like you surrendered your finances and said, I'm not going to try to worry about something that is out of my control. This could be family life, though. This story could have been about, God, I can't get this family thing together. Mm-hmm. I'm going to surrender this to you. I'm struggling with this.
Right.
But in meeting our needs, when we say, you know what, I don't know how this is supposed to look, how this is going to look. Now at this point, it's over my head. But I know that if I trust you and not try to step in your shoe and say, oh, well, man, I'll just figure out how to do this.
Yes.
But say, you know what, I'm going to surrender this to you. And I'm going to trust you to work it out. And I'm not going to just sit back and just wait for you to work it out. No, I'm going to walk alongside you.
Yes.
And know that as long as I trust you and I continue to go at it the way I've been going at it, no more. And I'm definitely not dialing it back. But I know you'll meet me there, and me trusting you and me surrendering this to you, not worrying about it. And it's so beautiful when he starts doing things like that, because I think back to those things. And like you, I was like, oh, okay, that was really good.
Yes.
But then later it started getting to a point where it was like, okay, now you're just showing off.
Yes.
And then it gets to a point where you're like, you wake up every day to be like, okay, what you got prepared?
Exactly.
Like, I'm just ready to get to the next day to see what you've got in store to show me your strength. Because at my best, at my hardest, putting in all the hours I could put in, I'd never be able to match that.
So I'm going to add a caveat to that, because as a man who deals with depression, as a man that deals with the anxiety of not being enough of a man because of my disabilities, the financial part of it has always led to more angst, more worry, more stress. I haven't felt that for like a year and a half now. Like, it's just so easy to wake up. Like, I like the long days. I like, I don't like making money. I like having money to provide for others, because that service part, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like knowing that Yahweh is there to cover everything for me. I know there's going to be bread on the table tomorrow.
Right.
So I don't have to worry about tomorrow.
Where it's coming from.
I could live in today.
Let's go. What is that? Matthew 6:34?
Yes.
Yeah. No, not having to worry about tomorrow.
Exactly. Like Pastor Furtick is always talking about, like, not necessarily like living in the moment, but enjoying today, because tomorrow's covered for you. And it's like every time he says that, I just smile, because I'm just like, I know, Lord.
Yeah.
You good, man. You got me. So it's really cool being able to sit here and, go from a place of service with you to just sitting down talking to you and, just learning more about how God has shown both of us love.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he definitely has has had mercy. You know, it's funny how, and I don't know if you ever felt this, but felt like maybe because of our past choices, we weren't worthy of what he's doing. Where you had moments where you're like, almost like the disciples, like, God, I've done evil things, God. I'm not worthy of this level of grace and this level of love. Like it. Okay. Now I'm gonna go back to what you talked about earlier.
Sure.
The love we were looking for when we were younger. To receive that level of love and attention from somebody who we've never really turned to, or in my case, I had never really turned to, but to experience that level of love, it was like something I had never, ever experienced in my life. Like, it floored me. It broke me down because it was the love I always wanted. If I could have said, like, you know, if I could have explained what I needed as a child, it was exactly what he was providing. It was exactly how he showed up. And forget financially. I'm talking about in my darkest moments. It was just like sometimes you just wanted somebody, as you said, I walked the streets at 2 a.m. I just wanted somebody to walk the streets with me, yes, or to say, hey, look, come in.
Yes. It's
time to go to sleep. It's time to, I'm going to take care of you.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. You know, it's funny. My favorite moments in church, any Sunday. I'm a big crier. I ain't even want to lie. If you,
okay, yeah.
If you're sitting next to me, there are moments I'm literally standing there, and I have no reason why. I'm crying, and I'm just wiping tears like, I'm more than able. Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue why I'm crying. I'm not sad, so why am I crying? Because I'm worthy enough to get that love from him now. Yeah. It's so weird. Like, I can just be sitting there, come in happy, laughing. Hey, how's it going?
Right.
Songs come on. I'm crying.
All right.
And it's just like, it's so weird because it's like you feel like somebody's got their arms wrapped around you, and you're just like, you're like a little crying burrito over here, you know?
I'm going to make sure my boy Scott listens to this, because we sat here and we discussed the same thing, that we were like, man, sometimes I'm just kind of happy that they keep the lights low, because I don't need people asking me if I'm okay. Yes, I'm fine. I just right now in this moment, I am elated that I am loved so much, and I get to praise the one who was able to love me the way I've always needed to be loved.
Exactly.
And if you had been in my shoes and walked the life I've lived before now, you'll understand why this level of love is something that just makes me cry. I can't explain it. I just cry. And as I said to somebody, it doesn't make me less of a man, because, you know, I feel like the fact that I'm able to sit here and cry without any care for who's watching me.
Right.
You can say what you want. I'm man enough to sit here and cry in front of all of you guys. Exactly. I'm sorry you're holding back your tears, because if you've experienced this level of love, this level of grace, forgiveness, mercy, it's like, how could you not cry with the ideas of what you look for all your life? You now are receiving from someone that I wish I could have gone back in time and experienced this when I really needed it.
Exactly.
So I do go back in time sometimes, and I say, listen here, Robbie, as I address my younger self, it's okay now. Like, the love you needed, it's here. It's always been here. So now I want you to receive this love with me. I want you to experience this love. And so that's where those tears are coming from. They're coming from my younger self, just elated that he's receiving this love from someone he never saw in all those years when I just felt love deprived, when I felt I didn't deserve love. So I'll just give it to other people.
Exactly.
And maybe I'll feel it in their receiving it. But to now receive it and to accept it, as you said. Like, I'm not just going to, no, give that to somebody. No, I'm going to accept this because I deserve it.
I kind of feel like Sunday is my day to accept it. It's my day to, like, accept that love and that joy. There's so many Sundays I'll sit there and I'm just like, just smiling.
Yeah.
And it's like, it can be the most darkest Sunday. Like, I don't even care what the sermon is. Sometimes it's like, I'm just sitting there, just looking around the church and just like, I got you. I see you.
I'm so loved right here. I feel so loved. Okay, so I will challenge you with this because I you know what? I used to tell people Sunday is my favorite day. You can't take that from me. But you know what? I realized like, okay, wait a minute. Like if I got to store all this up till the next Sunday, like what happens if like, and then I was like, you know what? I want to experience this like on a Wednesday. And I was like, I know we don't have church on Wednesday, but that doesn't stop me from having praise and worship like right here in my own confinements in my house. And it's funny because I will start my days some days in the car or wherever with praise and worship and set that same atmosphere to where, like you, I'll just sit there and it just, what you cheesing about, man? I'm so loved right now, man. Yes. I'm just right now. I'm being recharged. I am reminding myself how much he loves me by praising him for his love, praising him for his the way he's just met me in so many different things. The way he told me, you don't got to worry about it anymore. Mm-hmm. I got you covered. I didn't even know what that was like for somebody to tell me, no, you ain't got to worry about that.
Yep.
I got that covered. I've done it for so many, but not too many people have done it for me. So yeah, like I don't. Sometimes I can't wait till Sunday.
Right.
I like God meet me. What's up? You trying to meet me tonight? I know it's Wednesday, but can we like have some time? Monday night, Friday night. Like, what's up? You got some time? Like, okay, because I got some time.
Right.
And it's like I can have that to where I don't just. I'm dragging and I'm like, I just gotta make it
a little bit
Sunday. I'm almost there.
That is true. You're like just crawling through the week trying to make it to there.
Right.
I've never really, being ex-military, like I struggle with scheduling, like trying to like lock down a schedule. So I'm trying to implement like the first couple hours of my day to just like really devote to some kind of meditation, some kind of prayer, or I want to try to include that in my daily morning routine. It's something I'm really struggling with, but hopefully I'll get there soon.
Hey man, I got you. I'm gonna be your accountability partner, bro. I just realized it because you know what? I too sometimes struggle with it, but I love starting my morning with praise. Matter of fact, I was just telling my wife that like I now have a thing where I start every day with prayer and praise. Okay. But now a posture of praise and meditation. It used to be sitting in Indian style, in meditation. But now I started on my knees with my hands raised in praise. Okay. And then they go down and surrender and meditation. And I literally spend time with God praising him and then meditating on all the things he's done for me. And it allows me just almost to ground every day. Okay. And I try to do that starting at 6 a.m. I mean, I know some people are like, dude, I start my day at 4. Okay, well, congratulations. I'm starting mine at 6. But like starting my day every day because I realize how, like you said, it almost like sets the tone. Mm-hmm. Because when I don't do it, there's no telling what I'm going to face in that day.
Exactly.
And so to ground myself in just who he is and what he's done and what he's going to do and how he's going to use us, our stories, our conversations, it's like, dude, God, there's so many ways that you can use me based on what you've put into me. And I know he like this, like, I love how sometimes I say this and I'm like, you know what? Hey, guess what? If nobody listens to this episode, it was good for me. I hope it was good for you because these are the episodes that I may not listen back to hear me and critique myself. But it's like, man, he dropped one on me from the beginning. Yeah. I knew you had a story, but I didn't realize how much we were the same.
Okay.
Until you started sharing, and I just had to sit here and just kind of smile because I was like, You are something else, God. That was good.
It's another one of those things you just never know somebody's background, right?
Yeah, but you won't. unless every man, every woman has a story. But if you can't take the time out to get to know people, you won't realize how much we're twins. Yes. And I know people are looking at us right now like, y'all definitely are twins. No, we are twins. Yes. Like, I'm talking about, like, there's everything he has said. I'm like, yeah, like just now, I'll be your accountability partner because, yeah, I need to start my day more with meditation and prayer. And it's almost like when you know somebody's waiting outside your house, waiting to go work out, you're going to get up. Like, I don't feel like it, but I'm going to get up because he's up.
Well, I gotta let you know I'm a 4:30 in the morning kind of guy.
Okay,
so.
Well, that's where twinship just ends. Well,
yeah, I got up this morning like 4:45.
All right,
broke out some I think I started like Psalms 27:11 or something like that.
Okay, 4:45. Okay,
yeah. So I'll hit you.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, we'll work something out. You know what?
I'll get with you when I get done. When you're just waking up.
Well, you know what? I can meet you. I might be able to meet you there. Maybe this is God saying, "Hey, look, it's time for me to wake you up a little bit earlier." So maybe this is that sign right now. But no, that's awesome. I truly believe that is. I tell people, it's the best way to start your day. But honestly, that doesn't mean you got to start it that way. You can do it in the middle lunch break. Like, I go out and I find a tree, some shade. This heat right now means nothing in the shade.
Nothing in the shade. Yes, nothing. Exactly.
But I'll find a quiet space just to kind of like relax, meditate. Thank God for what he's done, even when it's like, God, this day's been rough. I'm going to need some strength to make it through. Maybe some coffee too.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, this is, yeah. So I know you said that you don't have to worry about tomorrow.
Right.
And that's beautiful because I feel like what God's doing in the present is what he wants us to focus on. Exactly. Like what's going on around us. He wants us to pick up all these moments where it's like, wait, did you see me there? Wait, did you no, see, you're worried about tomorrow. I need you to see me in these moments.
Yeah.
What would you say to a person who says, yeah, that sounds crazy though? Like, of course you got to worry about tomorrow because like, how can you store up for what's to come? How can you prepare? You know how we were brought up, yes, like you got to, yeah. Like you don't have to, what is a line that a military man used to always tell me? He used to say, I don't have to get ready if I stay ready.
Exactly.
Is that a thing?
That's definitely a thing. I would say, it's not that I don't worry about tomorrow. I consider tomorrow. I feel that I've done enough today in my preparation for the next day. So I feel that today bleeds into tomorrow. It's almost like a continuum. It just continues. So I feel if you do enough in the time that you spend today, living and breathing and doing, the next day is just gonna happen.
Yeah.
So it's not that I don't worry. It's not that the anxiety is 100% gone. There are definitely things where you got a major doctor's appointment or something where you're considerate of it or whatever. But in the long run, your chapter was already written before you're here.
Yeah.
So it's gonna happen no matter what.
That's so good.
That's something I've had to really think about over the last 2 or 3 years as I'm going through this Christ walk. I'm like, that chapter was already written. Like the situation with my daughter that I just found out about. Talking to the child's mother. It's so funny. Like I'm sending her stuff, and she's like, "I'm so sorry for this and so sorry for that," and I was so angry for this. And I was like, that's how the book was written. I wasn't supposed to know until now. I wasn't supposed to know until now because I couldn't have accepted it until now.
That's good. Oh man.
So it's like, like if you think about Lot's wife, she's looking back. She got lost because she wasn't looking forward into the present, right?
Right.
So it's like, I can be hurt, I can be upset, I can be mad that I didn't know about this for 17 years. Or I can accept that that was the day I was supposed to find out.
Mm-hmm. And what he's done in your life and what he's walked you through and what he's prepared you for, it prepared you for the moment you found out. Because maybe if you had found this out previously, mentally, maturity, strength, maybe you weren't ready to carry that.
So I will say I'm a smasher.
Okay.
When my rage gets too much. Okay. There's been some dressers, some chairs, some tables that maybe got disfigured after.
Okay.
It's just something I've always. So I've been sitting on this for like 30 days now. It's the calmest 30 days I've had all year. So since that, like, God has really given me another reason to be like, look, if you would have had your anger in control 17 years ago, you would have known about this. So it's given me, like, every time I start to get angry now, I'm like, all right, Lord, you took something away from me for 17 years to prepare me for this now. So I got to be calm because I know when I wasn't, he took away something magical from me. He made me suffer on purpose. And that's the kind of Lord he is. He makes you suffer on purpose to teach you the grace that he's got.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Wow. It almost echoes of, like, you know, he knows us so well.
Yes.
And sometimes our consequences are not just from the things that we do and the mistakes we make, but sometimes it's also from the things that we don't deal with.
Exactly. You know, I've been dealing with this anger for 17, 18, 19, 20 years. And I'm kind of at that point where I've realized what I've lost. I've never noticed my anger in that sense yet. You know, I've always just been like, yeah, I'm an angry dude. You know, I do this, I do that. But now I see what was taken away from me because of that. So now I see the consequence of it.
Right.
And I'm okay with that.
Okay. So, okay, I got a question then.
Sure.
And it's okay, let's frame it this way.
Sure.
The Incredible Hulk.
Okay. Yep. Totally.
When he gets angry,
yeah,
he turns into the Hulk.
Yeah.
So he learned how to meditate to control and to calm himself.
100%.
And he does that. And he's not even giving credit to God's peace that plays a big role in your comfort.
Yes.
And your calmness. But in feeling that calmness, do you ever stop to ask yourself what root is behind all of the anger and where it stems from, so that in the future, when things arise that will get the blood pressure going to where you start working yourself up,
yeah,
you've addressed the root that created the anger in the first place?
So still working on going through the journey of, you know, actually dealing with that root cause. But I think once again, it comes from a lot of the inadequacies I had. Some of the different things that didn't go the way that I wanted them to. But looking back on it, everything has its own purpose.
Right.
Like, when I got out of the military, I had probably a 45-day notice. It wasn't like, oh, I know I'm getting out in a year, I need to start planning for this. I went in for my second hernia surgery, and I was Cinco de Mayo of 2005. I processed out June 22nd.
Oh, wow.
So it was like, hey, you're going to be on surgery leave for like 6 weeks, and when you come back, you're gone.
Oh, wow.
So it was like, okay, now what do I do?
Right.
You know, so it's like dealing with getting a career taken away from you, dealing with the stress from I don't have a paycheck in 6 weeks. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I think a lot of the anger still stems from that and the different issues that came along after that.
Okay. Something just hit me, dude.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Okay. So sometimes here's an example. You work at a job.
Okay.
You realize you don't like the job.
Yeah.
Or you realize that they're probably not going to keep you there long.
Okay.
Most of us, we normally have time to prepare ourselves. We find another job.
Right.
We find, as I like to say, a new identity.
Yes.
When you don't have an opportunity to find one and somebody strips your identity, just takes it from you immediately, it leaves you in shock.
Yes.
And it leaves you sitting there like, but I'm a serviceman. I'm a military man.
Yes.
You can't take that from me. And the more you wrestle with the idea that my identity was stripped by you and I didn't give it to you, like I didn't give it up, I didn't replace it yet.
Right.
It can leave us angry with others instead of finding our identity in the person who created us with an identity before we ever created our own identity.
It's great that you bring up that word identity, because a lot of people, when they get out of the military, they're lost. Mm-hmm. They don't know what, and it's funny to make the correlation, but same thing with sports athletes.
Yep.
After you play sports for so long and you're no longer an athlete.
Parents,
exactly. So identity goes into a long list of a lot of the angry, a lot of the trauma that people have dealt with, because so now I'm out of the military. Now I have these disabilities. You know, I think I've been through 10 surgeries or something like that since I've been out of the military. I never, got shot or got blown up or anything, but my body was like giving up for this and for that. So it's like, even when I was a dad to a young son, like, hey, I can't ride those roller coasters with you because dad's got a bad back and bad neck. Well, am I really a dad? Do I really have that identity? So I think a lot of that anger, because as men, we're supposed to provide, we're supposed to work, we're supposed to make the money. Well, I don't have that identity either. So a lot of that anger comes from that lack of identity. So I'm glad you brought up that word, because I think we put too much pressure on that word for ourselves as men. And I think over these past 30 days since I first met you, I'm understanding more of that identity, especially finding out the news of that, because I went from having one child and now I've had two.
Right.
So I've always said I was one and done.
Right.
But that's not my true identity.
It wasn't God's plan for you.
Wasn't God's plan. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, understanding how much life has changed in these last 30 days since first meeting you and everything is made me truly appreciate this identity that I have.
Right.
I'll use your terminology.
Yeah. Nah, that's super cool. Wow. Man, I'm a processor. Yes. So like when I step away from things, sometimes I'll just sit there and I'll just stare off at things just as I process stuff. This is going to be one of those moments after this where I'm just going to be like, there was so much there. Because you said we talked about the identity of men.
Yes.
And we normally learn our identity watching men growing up around us. We learn what men are supposed to be.
Right.
So every man's not the same based on what they believe men are supposed to be. But you're right, when we don't feel like we're footing the bill on what everybody told me I gotta look like, what they look like, then it gives us this anger of like, I'm not enough.
Exactly.
And that in itself, no matter how good we're doing, no matter how great we're accomplishing things, it's the things that we can't do sometimes.
Yep.
That say, what kind of man are you then? That makes it to where we start beating ourselves up. Nobody else witnessed that. Nobody else heard that or saw that or noticed that, but we start beating ourselves up because it's so heavy.
Exactly.
And as an it'd be one thing if our identity was a woman, because then we would say, well then maybe I can focus on these things because this is how my mom showed me the identity of a woman. So maybe but when we start to see that maybe the things that our father did aren't aligning with what we're providing,
or the lack of our fathers.
Man, how much time we got? All right.
We can talk about that for days.
All right, let's. Whew. I told y'all he's my twin right here. I mean, literally, I'm learning a lot, and I'm taking it in, and I'm like, okay, all right, like you might have to come back. We might have to redo this. We might have to do something else and talk more about this.
Start like a 30-day episode, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when we got the lack of fathers, we don't really know what that identity is. And like me and you was talking, like TV dads, you're never going to be them, but that's all we know. So we want to emulate that.
Yeah, but the thing is that TV dads, we can't, because they were always,
Exactly.
we didn't see their vulnerable side.
Exactly.
We saw their perfect side. No, that's not true. There were moments where we saw them fall short. There were moments where but it didn't give us enough to say, oh, well, it's cool. I saw Uncle Phil,
Exactly.
he didn't make it all the time. Or I saw Carl Winslow. I saw how he did,
Yes.
but it was enough to where we wanted to be perfect like them. We wanted to show up like them. We wanted to come and save the day like them. And so when we're not able to do that, oh my goodness, man, you done taken me back in the 90s TV shows, and
But the thing we need to realize is it's okay as a dad to fail.
Yeah.
Because that's a learning moment for you.
Yeah. Matter of fact, more importantly, it shows them that it's okay to fail when we fail.
Yes.
Like, imagine if we were to get it every time. Imagine the pressure it puts on our kids to be like, my dad always hit the bullseye, and I didn't even hit the target. What does that make me?
That's why it's like, if you was to say, what is the greatest thing I'm good at? I can't even think of anything, but let's just say I'm like, I could drink this water faster than you. You're like, all right, let's have a competition. Now I'm good. I won't compete. I hate competition.
Because it'll be another thing that you feel like you'll...
I will come up with excuses on why I can't compete with you in that. Oh, my left toe hurts, or my knee hurts, or my eyesight isn't good enough. I hate competitions. So like, I've worked at companies where they're like, oh, we're going to stack you up against other people. I'm like, please don't do that. They're like, oh, but we always do that. I'm like, nah, don't do that to me. I'll quit. I've literally left jobs because they wanted to like stack people up against each other. And I was like, y'all will have me in here lose my mind.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to miss this moment then to look in the mirror and tell my twin that you are enough. And I'm not just saying that because that's cliche, but it's because I didn't tell myself enough. And so I make sure I remind myself all the time that I'm enough. I'm man enough. I'm father enough. I am hitting everything, and I don't have to prove that to anybody. Exactly. But at the same token, it doesn't hurt to lose and still know that I'm enough, even in my failure, even in my losses.
Yes.
So you are enough, bro.
Touché, brother. Touché.
Tommy, you are enough. Because I want you to go into contests. As a matter of fact, let's see how quick we can drink these down. But I want you to go into contests knowing that even if you don't win,
yes,
it doesn't change who you are. It doesn't change your identity, because your father looks at you every time and never changes the fact that he's like, but you're enough though.
Right.
You're enough for everything I've called you to do. You're enough in every one of those moments where I had you loving others and they were wondering, why is this guy caring and serving me so much? And that might have been the closest thing they've ever experienced to Christ. So don't look at the things that you feel like I'll lose at as the things that God's actually trying to use, because you've wanted everything he's called you to do,
all right,
which
like
makes
that.
you enough.
I can see that.
You see?
Yeah, I got you. I like that.
Bro, yeah. I love this. Man, I love this. You know what? God is something else, because like past 3 days leading up to this, I thought I had COVID. Don't worry, I didn't test positive for COVID.
I've got 6 shots for anthrax. It takes a lot to get me down.
And then I'm like, okay, maybe so I have been run down, like leading up to this podcast episode. I've been like in bed sick, and then today I just needed a recharge, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to do this. This is probably one of the best things I've done all day. I'm so glad I didn't cancel. I'm so glad this was healing. This was therapy for me. This was good, because I felt like I was sitting across from me, and I was affirming myself, and I was hearing myself out, and I was understanding, like, yeah.
So through your servitude, through this podcast, you're not only healing me, but you're healing yourself. Look at that.
And you're healing me and others with your stories. Man, hey, listen to me. Hey, I don't know what episode this is, but like, if you made it to this far, y'all are getting gold over here, because this is God led. This is these conversations. I tell people, I can't make it up. There's no script to it, but God works in every one of these conversations. It's crazy how I have a moment where I'm like, see what you did there, God. Oh, that was good. Yeah. Wow.
I mean, it's easy just to let the Spirit flow through you, you know?
Yeah.
No need to hold it back.
Yeah.
Because it's overflowing right now. So.
Yeah. Well, bro, look here. Sometimes I look over at the clock and I'm like, yeah, but do I have to wrap it up? I mean, you think they'll keep listening? And sometimes, hey, look, it's like, well, hey, look, they gonna if they made it this far, they gonna keep listening. But I appreciate you coming to sit down with me.
I appreciate your time, brother.
You definitely gonna be back at this table again, man. I'm excited about telling you about some things I got in the works coming up soon, and I definitely want you to come and join me back for. This was awesome. I can't wait for you to wake me up at 4:45 in the morning, man.
Your wife is going to be like, who's texting you at 5? Be like, that's Tommy.
No. What she's going to say, honestly, as long as y'all don't wake me up, I'm fine. And like, yeah, you do what you want. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited about this new journey, man. Man, this is awesome. This is awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate your time today, man. This was good. This was good for me. This filled up my soul right here. This was good. I hope it filled your soul up too. I really hope that, the listening audience really just, I know there were others who were just like, we're triplets. Like, yes. I have 2 brothers who totally understand. And it's like, yeah, that's what this is about. That's what this is about. So I appreciate you guys listening today. I want to thank my listeners for continuing to come and to support. I want to thank my son for continuously showing up and being here to keep the cameras jumping around and making sure we get seen and making sure this all is put together. More importantly, bro, I appreciate you for your vulnerability. I appreciate you, you saying yes, because you could have been like, I don't know, I don't, But no, I appreciate your yes. I appreciate what your yes means, not only to me, but to so many other people. So I appreciate you, man.
It was easy to say yes when I know I'm talking to another brother in Christ. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man, this community, and look, I would have, I think, what did he say? You would have never been able to tell me that 10 years from now, I was going to have a community of brothers that I sit down with, that I communicate with through social media and different places, that will allow me to encourage them, that will encourage me, that will walk alongside me to where I'm not doing this alone or feel like I'm doing this alone. I would have told you, you're crazy. You're crazy. There's no way. But man, this is a blessing.
It's just another sign that there's a greater power than just us.
Yeah.
It's another affirmation that what you're doing is the right thing.
Right. and it's crazy because I'm gonna have to later on just reflect on this, because these are the moments where I'm just like, man, God, like sometimes I feel like I don't deserve this. I feel like, you called somebody, but maybe you could have called somebody else. But I'm so appreciative he called me, because I don't know where I would have been if he hadn't called me into this space, what I would have been doing. So, like I said, bro, I appreciate you. With that, man, we're going to sign off. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us.
Thank you.
We appreciate you listening today and hope that if you enjoyed this episode, you'll like and subscribe and also listen to past episodes. We hope to bring you great future content as well. Please comment your thoughts on this episode, as well as leave any prayer requests below so that this community can pray alongside you. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at God's Glory and Men's Real Stories.
Brothers, we understand how the thoughts of even facing your own past and current story and the pain and hurt that come along with this is no easy task. But you're not alone, as you hear in these episodes. Nor has God forgotten you or left your side, as He's in it with you, fighting alongside you through the storms of life. He loves and has already forgiven you, no matter what you have done, and He wants a relationship with you. Your healing, freedom, and growth are important to God, and to us as well. Maybe you're considering giving up or need someone to talk to. Here are a few resources that already exist that we hope can shine a light into that dark place you're in. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number is 1-800-273-8255. If you need support but are not in crisis, consider reaching out to a warm line with individuals who would love to talk with you. Speaking to someone on these calls is typically free and confidential, and run by people who understand what it's like to struggle in life. Find a local number by going to warmline.org.